Want to get with a white woman because I was scared she might have me running down the street like Jonathan Majors.
There you go. Come on, Katt.
Not because I didn't like white women.
So, hey Tony, instead of releasing your edit, put the whole video out. I don't have it, or I would myself. You know what happened, and you're trying to manipulate the media. The encounter in question took place during the day at her invitation.
Was it just poor judgment on Shannon Sharpe's part, or is there something deeper at play? That's the question many are starting to ask as his world seems to unravel in real time. Some folks are pointing out that the warning signs were there, all along, and not just from random voices, but from notable figures who've seen behind the curtain. Katt Williams raised red flags. Monique spoke up. And now Terrence Howard is standing in his corner too, suggesting this isn't just a coincidence. There's a growing chorus suggesting Shannon may have walked into a trap, not necessarily by accident, but through a system that has a history of tearing down high-profile black men the moment they step out of line or grow too powerful. Whether it's through public scandal, personal attacks, or calculated media takedowns, the pattern feels all too familiar. Some see this less as a man making bad decisions and more as a warning about what happens when you don't play by the rules of the industry gatekeepers. So, was Shannon simply naive about who he was aligning himself with, or did he fall victim to a system that has quietly dismantled others before him? Either way, it's hard to ignore the eerie echoes of what others, like Katt and Monique, have been trying to say for years. What's your take? Unfortunate missteps, or something? More strategic at work?
It's different now. When you and I...
It's different, baby. I'm grateful I'm not 56 and trying.
You trying to say, what you trying to say? Bro?
I'm looking right at you.
I know you looking at me.
I ain't backing down. You better take your old ass and get somebody to love you.
Damn, Mo.
Now I'm looking right at y'all. Let me tell y'all what Shannon needs.
Let me live my life.
Let me tell you what my baby needs. He need him an old fat gal who can bake good cakes, make some smothered turkey wings, who gonna rub his feet at the nighttime, okay, and gonna have a sip of his cognac to make him feel better about himself when he come home at night. That's what Shannon needs. You don't need no 26-year-old girl. You don't need no 36-year-old girl.
I do.
This is your auntie talking to you. Take your old and get you an old out there that can love you old.
Let's pull back the curtain for a moment and talk about how the entertainment industry really operates. Behind every celebrity is a network, a team of publicists, managers, agents, and media strategists. These aren't one-client folks. They juggle portfolios of high-profile names across film, sports, and music. And within that inner circle, conversations happen, quiet ones, private ones, where reputations are assessed and warnings are quietly passed along. They see the trends before the public does, and they know when a storm is coming. So when voices like Monique and Katt Williams speak out publicly and caution someone like Shannon Sharpe to tread carefully, especially in relationships that play into volatile racial and cultural dynamics, they aren't simply being dramatic or outdated. They're doing openly what industry insiders often do behind closed doors, issuing a signal that danger might be on the horizon. The problem arises when that warning is brushed off, when a public figure believes they're above reproach or immune to backlash. They often miss the cues others around them see clearly. And when those figures happen to be powerful black men who move too independently or challenge the status quo too loudly, history has shown us, time and again, that the system finds a way to put them back in place. Now, Shannon finds himself staring down legal threats and public scrutiny. He's starting to speak out, claiming that black men are being unfairly targeted, a claim that echoes through decades of similar downfalls. But let's be honest, this didn't just come out of nowhere. These kinds of takedowns are rarely spontaneous. They're usually calculated, and by the time the spotlight hits, the trap has already been set. So the real question becomes, is Shannon just another victim of poor choices, or is he the latest name on a long list of men who were warned, but didn't listen until it was too late?
My family, friends, supporters, and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly and from the heart. This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because of tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine. That video should actually be 10 minutes or so. Hey Tony, instead of releasing your edit, put the whole video out. I don't have it, or I would myself. You know what happened, and you're trying to manipulate the media. The encounter in question took place during the day at her invitation, and now that appears to be a deliberate setup, coordinated by Gabby, also known as Carly on OnlyFans. Gabby and Tony Busby want $50 million. What they're getting is sued for defamation and trying to take me down. My career is all about real talk and honesty. I know my family and fans know exactly what this is about. And I'm going to be out there telling you whatever I need to say, just like I always do. I love all you guys.
Which is exactly the kind of trap Katt's been screaming about for years. Remember, Katt wasn't just running his mouth, he's lived it. Katt's been saying for decades that Hollywood sets up black men.
This is the exact kind of trap Katt Williams has been calling out for years. Not out of paranoia, but from personal experience. His warnings haven't been random. They've come from living through what he believes is a system designed to sabotage outspoken black men. In a 2013 interview with Blacktree TV, Katt opened up about his role in Scary Movie 5 and took a sharp turn into what he sees as a deeper agenda in Hollywood. He talked about how the industry often pressures black male entertainers into wearing dresses, suggesting it's not just for laughs, but a subtle way to strip them of power and dignity. He pointed to a long line of such roles, saying Kevin Hart didn't even need to worry anymore because the precedent had already been set. This wasn't Katt's only red flag. A year earlier, in 2012, he claimed he'd been arrested 36 times in 36 months, yet never stood trial. To him, that was proof he was being targeted. And even more alarming, he said law enforcement would often use his children against him, adding emotional warfare to what he felt was a coordinated takedown. There was even a moment when the situation got so personal for Katt Williams that police came into his office and took his children. For Katt, it wasn't just humiliating, it was deeply insulting. He expressed disbelief that authorities would treat him as if he were some kind of monster. At the time, law enforcement claimed he had put his kids in danger. Katt admitted there was marijuana in the home, but maintained that there were no hard drugs present, and the firearms he owned were legally secured for the purpose of protecting his family. The repeated arrests, dozens over a short period, eventually wore him down. It wasn't just about the charges anymore. It became about the safety of his children and the emotional toll it took on him. That's what led Katt to publicly announce his retirement, not out of defeat, but to shield his kids from further chaos. His warnings to Shannon Sharpe weren't laced with bitterness. They were rooted in lived experience, in the caution of someone who had seen too much and paid the price. And now, Katt isn't the only one raising red flags. More black men in the industry are coming forward, calling out the system they believe is rigged against them. Among them is Terrence Howard, an increasingly outspoken figure who has been vocal about the ways Hollywood breaks those who don't follow its script. If you thought Katt's message was chilling, wait until you hear the fire Terrence is bringing to the conversation. Terrence Howard didn't just echo Katt Williams' warnings, he peeled back the curtain on how Hollywood systematically chips away at the power and identity of black men. During an interview with Revolt, Terrence laid it out plain. The entertainment industry often reshapes the image of black masculinity, muting strength and replacing it with something softer, more digestible, something less threatening. Meanwhile, white men are allowed to remain commanding, authoritative, and untamed. He articulated it clearly. They want black men to give up their strength, to tone it down. They'll celebrate you for conforming, but if you stand in your full truth, you become a problem. For Terrence, compromising who he is just to fit a pre-written Hollywood script was never an option. And it's the same story he sees playing out for men like Shannon Sharpe. Those who refuse to shrink themselves to fit the mold get crushed by the very machine that once applauded them. And Terrence isn't alone in this thinking. Black voices have been calling this out for decades. Dave Chappelle famously walked away from millions after calling out how black men are often coerced into degrading roles, especially ones that involve wearing dresses to earn laughs. Icons like Martin Lawrence, Eddie Murphy, Jamie Foxx, Wesley Snipes, Tyler Perry, Kevin Hart, and even Chris Rock have all, at some point, played parts that critics say diminish the image of strong black masculinity. The formula seems to repeat itself. Play along, and you're rewarded. Push back, and you're punished. Even Kanye West stood by Diddy, saying that Hollywood is designed to break strong black men, and that those who resist end up trapped in controversy or worse. And now it looks like Shannon Sharpe may be the latest. Example: after years of public success, private shadows are starting to surface, and not by accident, some believe. Allegations have emerged from Shannon's years at FS1's Undisputed, including a disturbing claim that he choked a female production assistant. Although the incident never led to a formal lawsuit, insiders say it was settled behind closed doors with a hefty payout. Shannon's camp dismissed it as nothing more than playful contact, not aggression, but the whispers haven't stopped. Then came even more serious accusations. Michelle Evans, who says she was romantically involved with Shannon for nearly a decade, filed a lawsuit in 2023 claiming emotional and physical abuse. She alleged that after things went south, Shannon became controlling and violent, even threatening her to stay quiet. Shannon responded to the suit with a firm denial, stating publicly that fame often attracts opportunists. "It's no surprise," he said, "that once someone's name is in the headlines, people come crawling out of the woodwork with old stories and twisted truths to benefit from the chaos." Still, the court of public opinion doesn't wait for verdicts, and whether you believe the accusations or not, the pressure around Shannon is mounting fast. One thing's for sure: the cycle Terrence, Katt, and others have been warning about for years appears to be playing out once again, right before our eyes. The latest storm surrounding Shannon Sharpe has been triggered by a new and explosive lawsuit, filed by Gabriela Zuniga, who claims that Shannon took advantage of her on more than one occasion. Since her allegations surfaced, a wave of scandalous details, alleged recordings, and controversy has flooded the media, intensifying the spotlight already burning down on Shannon. Sharpe, however, isn't backing down. He's pushing back hard, labeling the entire situation as an attempted extortion. According to his legal team, Gabriela's claims are rooted not in truth, but in manipulation. They argue that the evidence, including explicit text messages exchanged between the two, tells a very different story, one of mutual interest and adult consent. These messages, they say, show clear participation in role-playing, graphic exchanges, and an overall consensual relationship. One of the most contentious points in this unfolding saga is a secretly recorded video that Gabriela allegedly submitted as evidence. Shannon's attorneys insist that the video was heavily edited to fit a certain narrative, and claim Gabriela has refused to release the full, unedited version for review. They argue that withholding the complete footage only adds suspicion to her motives. In a surprising twist, Shannon reportedly offered Gabriela a $10 million settlement in an effort to resolve the matter privately, but instead of accepting, she walked away, raising even more eyebrows about her intentions. Now Shannon is doubling down on his defense, claiming Gabriela is just the latest in a line of women, including Michelle Evans, who are trying to exploit his name, fame, and wealth under the guise of justice. Whether the public sees this as a legitimate case or a well-orchestrated takedown, one thing is clear: the situation has grown far more complex than anyone expected. Shannon Sharpe is making it clear. He believes this entire ordeal stems from personal revenge. According to him, everything went south when he made it known he wasn't interested in fathering a child with Gabriela Zuniga. Despite what he describes as a fully consensual 2-year-long relationship, he claims Gabriela turned to blackmail once it was evident he wouldn't fulfill that role in her life. Sharpe maintains he was transparent from the beginning about the nature of their relationship. He says things only escalated when he refused to take their dynamic to a place he never promised. In an effort to shield the private corners of his life from public consumption, Shannon admits he was open to settling. Quietly, something many celebrities do when faced with sensitive accusations. But that door has since closed. In a recent public statement, Sharpe reaffirmed that while he's currently stepping back from his role at ESPN, it's a personal decision, not a forced exit. He made it clear this is not a termination. Instead, he's hitting pause to concentrate on his family and fully address what he calls a baseless legal claim. And he's not walking away for good. According to his team, Shannon Sharpe fully intends to return to ESPN for the 2025 NFL season. So for those wondering whether this signals the end of his broadcasting career, it doesn't. If anything, Sharpe is treating this as a necessary detour, not a destination. It's clear how quickly the tide turned against Shannon Sharpe. When powerful black men rise too high or move too freely, the industry often shifts from applause to attack. The same doors that once opened with ease begin to slam shut, and the Very platform that once celebrated you starts to isolate you. It's a pattern as old as Hollywood itself. Black success often feels like a ticking clock, and when the clock runs out, everything changes. So when people like Monique, Katt Williams, or Terrence Howard speak up, it's not random noise. It's hard-earned truth. They've seen this cycle repeat over and over. First, you're lifted up and praised, only to be knocked down once they decide you're too much of a threat. It's a pattern that has claimed many before, and now, it looks like Shannon Sharpe is in the crosshairs. The buzz around his situation is growing louder, and some are even predicting that it could spiral into something far worse, even an arrest. It's the inevitable conclusion for many who make too much noise, too fast. Once the system marks you, it rarely stops halfway. It's not just about one mistake or one wrong step. It's about the forces behind the scenes that control who stays and who goes. When you rise, there's always someone watching, waiting, for you to slip. The real question that remains, was Shannon simply reckless, or was this takedown orchestrated from the beginning? Did he unknowingly step into a trap that was set for him long before he ever realized it? Or was he just another player in the cycle that claims many powerful black men? The answer may be more complex than we can see.